There is a law of the mind that feels like a trap. It is the paradox of the fortress. The harder you try to defend your peace, the faster your walls crumble. The more you scramble to lock the gates against the chaos of your life, against the anxiety, the noise, the fear of failure, the more the enemy senses your panic. They smell it. In the philosophy of the West, we are taught to build walls, to fight, to resist. But the Jade Scholar looks to the misty peaks of Mount Chi, to a moment in history where a man faced an army of 150,000 soldiers with nothing but a wooden lute and an open door. He did not survive because he was strong. He survived because he understood the terrified psychology of his enemy. He understood that sometimes the most terrifying thing you can show the world is nothing. There is a version of you that is frantic, trying to hold it all together, but there is another version, a version rooted in the empty fort that does not fight the chaos, but invites it in, only to find that the chaos, terrified by your stillness, chooses to retreat. Let us look at you, not the mask you wear at work or the smile you plaster on for your family, but the you that exists at 3 a.m. You are under siege. The enemy is not a distinct army flying a crimson flag. It is a fog. It is the gnawing sense that you are an imposter. It is the tightening of the chest when an email notification pings. It is the desperate mental calculation of future catastrophes that haven't happened yet. You have spent years building a fortress to keep this anxiety out. You have built walls of distraction, scrolling through screens until your eyes burn. You have built moats of suppression, swallowing your emotions, manning up, acting unbothered while your internal organs feel like they are being twisted by a wet towel. You have built towers of control, micromanaging every detail of your life, believing that if you can just organize the external world perfectly, the internal storm will cease. But look at the result. The walls are cracking. The sheer effort of holding the gates shut is exhausting you more than the enemy ever could. You are tired. You are brittle. Like a dried branch in winter, you have become hard, but you have no flexibility. One strong wind and you will snap. Modern psychology calls this the ironic process theory, the idea that the deliberate attempt to suppress a thought makes it more likely to surface. The more you try not to think of the white bear, the only thing you see is the white bear. You are a general commanding a fortress that is running out of food while the enemy outside grows larger every day. You believe the answer is thicker walls. The Jade Scholar is here to tell you that the answer is to open the gates. To understand how to save yourself, we must travel back to the Three Kingdoms era of China. The year is 228 AD. The place is Xicheng. The protagonist of our lesson is Zhuge Liang, the sleeping dragon, a strategist of such legendary intellect that he is considered the avatar of wisdom itself. Intelligence reports arrive. Sima Yi, the brilliant general of the Wei Kingdom, is marching toward Xicheng with 150,000 veteran soldiers. Zhuge Liang has no army. The bulk of his forces are deployed elsewhere. He has only a handful of civil officials and a few old soldiers. Logic, Western logic, panic logic, dictates that he should run, or perhaps he should board up the gates, barricade the streets, and prepare to die fighting. That is the reaction of the full fort. That is the reaction of resistance. But Zhuge Liang understands the Tao. He understands Wu Wei, effortless action. He knows that Sima Yi is a suspicious man. Sima Yi knows Zhuge Liang is prudent and never takes risks. So Zhuge Liang orders his men to take down the banners. He orders the gates of the city to be thrown wide open. He instructs 4 old soldiers to stand at the entrance, calmly sweeping the dust with brooms. And Zhuge Liang, he ascends the city wall. He sits upon the viewing tower. He lights incense. He places his 7-stringed guqin, his lute, upon a table, and he begins to play. When Sima Yi's vanguard arrives, they halt. They see the gates open. They see the darkness inside the archway. They see the old men sweeping, and above them they hear the music. It is not frantic. It is not fast. It is perfectly rhythmic. High in the tower, Zhuge Liang sits with a smile, plucking the strings with the precision of a surgeon. Sima Yi arrives. He listens. He looks at the open gates. He looks at the empty fort. And he is terrified. He thinks Zhuge Liang has never taken a risk in his life. The gates are open. The music is calm. This must be an ambush. The city must be filled with hidden archers. The silence is a trap. Sima Yi, with 150,000 men, orders a full retreat. He runs away from an old man and a song. This is the power of the empty fort. It is the strategy of Hu Shi, emptiness and fullness. By projecting absolute emptiness, absolute stillness, and total vulnerability, Zhuge Liang turned his enemy's own suspicion against him. He did not fight the army. He fought the mind of the general. How does this myth apply to the trembling of your hands and the racing of your heart? Your anxiety is Sima Yi. It is a suspicious, aggressive force. It scans your body and your mind for weakness. When you feel anxiety approaching, that tightness in the stomach, that heat in the face, what is your instinct? You panic. You rush to close the gates. You tense your shoulders. Your breath becomes shallow. You start arguing with yourself. Don't be anxious. Be confident. Don't mess this up. By doing this, you are sending a signal to your anxiety. You are proving that there is something to protect. You are proving that you are in danger. The amygdala, the ancient alarm bell in your brain, watches your reaction. If it sees you boarding up the windows and locking the doors, tensing up, avoiding eye contact, drinking to numb the feeling, it concludes, the threat is real. He is defending himself. Send more troops. Send more adrenaline. Send more cortisol. You are creating the siege you are trying to escape. The internal war is a feedback loop. You feel fear. You resist the fear. The resistance creates tension. The tension confirms the fear. The Jade Scholar asks, what happens if you do not close the gates? What happens if, when the panic arrives, you do not argue with it? You do not try to fix it? What if you sit on the tower of your consciousness, light the incense of your awareness, and simply play the lute? This is the Taoist principle of the uncarved block, Pu. The block does not try to be a statue. It is simply wood. It has no definition, so it has no limitation. When you fight anxiety, you define yourself as a victim or a combatant. When you employ the empty fort, you become the void. and you cannot besiege a void. The path to conquering this internal siege is uncomfortable. It goes against every survival instinct you have inherited from your ancestors. The path is radical exposure through stillness. You must learn to execute the empty fort strategy in real time. This is not a metaphor for doing nothing. It is a metaphor for doing the hardest thing possible, doing nothing in the face of terror. Here is the method. When the enemy approaches, when the high-stakes meeting is 5 minutes away, when the conflict with your spouse is heating up, when the existential dread hits you in the quiet of the night, you must override the command to close the gates. First, drop the physical shields. The anxious body wants to curl inward. It wants to protect the vital organs. You must do the opposite. Open your chest, drop your shoulders, expose the throat, unclench the jaw. Physically signal to your nervous system, I am not defending anything. Second, open the mental gates. Instead of saying, I hope I don't get anxious, you must invite the anxiety in. Say to the sensation, come in, do your worst, I am not hiding. Third, play the lute. Zhuge Liang played music to show his hands were steady. Your music is your breath and your focus on the present task. You do not focus on the fear, you focus on the sweeping of the broom, the plucking of the string. You focus on the sensation of the air in your nose, the texture of the table under your hands. This works because anxiety requires resistance to sustain itself. It needs a wall to push against. If you become an empty room, the anxiety rushes in, looks around, finds nothing to fight, and, like Sima Yi, it retreats. It retreats because your lack of reaction signals safety. You are hacking your own biology. You are teaching your amygdala that the situation is not a threat. Understanding the strategy is one thing. Having the gung fu, the skill achieved through hard work to execute it, is another. In the Confucian tradition, we speak of li, ritual. Ritual is not just ceremony, it is the container that holds the water of our chaotic emotions. You cannot wait for the crisis to build the fort. You must practice without gaps. This means you must practice the empty fort strategy on the small enemies, the minor skirmishes of daily life. When you are stuck in traffic and feel the heat of rage rising, that is a scout from the enemy army. Do not grip the wheel. Open the gates. Breathe. Watch the anger. Play the lute. When you are about to send a text message to clarify a misunderstanding because you are insecure, stop. That impulse is the urge to build a wall. Do not send it. Sit in the discomfort of the silence. Let the uncertainty enter the city. Watch it. Realize it cannot kill you. Consistency is the key. In neuroscience, this is extinction learning. Every time you utilize the empty fort, every time you feel fear but remain physically and mentally open, you are rewiring the neural pathways of your brain. You are turning a dirt road of panic into a paved highway of stoic calm. If you only do this occasionally, you are like a general who sometimes locks the gates and sometimes opens them. This confuses the troops. It confuses your biology. You must become predictable in your stillness. Zhuge Liang did not learn to play the lute on the day the army arrived. He had played it every day for 30 years. His calm was not an act, it was a habit. The ancient sages did not rely on willpower in the moment. They relied on preparation. They pre-decided their identity. The Confucian concept of the superior man, Junzi, is not someone who is never afraid. It is someone who has practiced the rituals of dignity so deeply that when chaos strikes, the dignity happens automatically. You need a pre-solution, a code. You must decide right now, in the safety of this moment, what your lute is. What is the anchor you will return to when the sky falls? For some, it is a phrase, a mantra. I am the empty valley. For others, it is a physical posture, the straightening of the spine, the grounding of the heels. For the Taoist, it is the breath, the connection to the qi. You must visualize the siege. Athletes do this. It is called visualization. Warriors do this. It is called simulation. Close your eyes and imagine the worst-case scenario. Imagine the humiliation. Imagine the failure. Imagine the army at the gates. Now, in your mind, see yourself opening the doors. See yourself smiling. See yourself pouring tea for the anxiety. By running this simulation, you are inoculating yourself. You are telling your brain, I have been here before. I know what to do. I do not run, I play. This is how you turn a strategy into an instinct. So when the real moment comes, you do not think, you simply become the empty fort. If you follow the path of the Jade discipline, if you stop building walls and start mastering the art of the open gate, a transformation occurs. It is a death and a rebirth. The little self, the neurotic, protective, fearful ego dies. It dies of starvation because you stop feeding it with your reactions. And in its place, the sage self is born. You become dangerous, not because you are aggressive, but because you are unreadable. People who are anxious vibrate, they disturb the air around them. But you become like a deep pool of water. People look at you and they see their own reflections. They cannot tell if you are fearless or if you are trapping them. You gain the charisma of the void. When you stop needing to defend your reputation grows. When you stop needing to control the outcome flows to you. When you stop fighting the war in your head, you win the war in the world. Zhuge Liang sat on that wall, and for a moment he might have felt the tremble of fear, but he poured that fear into the music. He turned his vulnerability into his greatest weapon. You have spent your life trying to be a stone wall. It is time to become the wind. You cannot break the wind. You cannot siege the wind. Open the gates. Let the world come for you, and watch as it bows before your stillness. The path of the empty fort is not for the timid. It requires the courage to sit in the fire until it burns away everything that is not you. If you seek to master this inner architecture, if you wish to walk the path of the Jade Scholar, balancing the order of Confucius with the flow of the Tao, then hit like and join us. Subscribe to the Jade Discipline. We do not offer you walls. we offer you the blueprint to build a spirit that needs no walls. The gates are open. Will you enter? Thank you for watching, and I will see you again on the next video.